You know, I turned on Insidious on the tube TV, assuming you could see it through the tube TV. You can't see anything on this, I'm well aware. All you ADHD goons will just have to deal with it. You're going to have to deal with it the same way I had to deal with the new Insidious movie. Oh my days, was that movie mid. I think everybody will agree that the first 3 to 2, depending on who you are, Insidious movies are good. They were a good time. They were a lot of fun. A lot of good, goofy scares, you know. That's what that series is really about, the jump scares. It goes into the same category as those. You go there to get a jump scare. Because, you know, a lot of people don't like jump scares. I would put myself into that category occasionally. This is one of those cases. The Insidious series is a series that has come to be known for its jump scares along with Paranormal Activity. But you know, a lot of the movie just felt phoned in, you know? I feel like, you know, I love James Wan. I got the Saw series right here. It's one of my favorite horror movie series. Because, like, what James Wan manages to do with that series is every time you go into a movie, you're not really expecting what you get. Like, and what I mean by that is, like, you go there to see the like, kills, but you never really know going into a Saw movie for the first time how crazy the kills are going to be, or what exactly the traps are going to be, or even exactly how they're going to present Jigsaw. There's a lot of question marks that you get going into that movie, and I'm using Saw as an example because that's James Wan. But going into this, I had an idea of what I was going to get. They gave me an AI version of all the other Insidious movies. Like, I was talking earlier to one of my friends, and I told him, I was like, look, it was like they fed the first 3 Insidiouses through an AI, and they added a coming of age story to it, and then they just published what they got out of that AI. This movie picks up 9 years after the events of the previous one. And did Insidious cut off, or is it just that dark? It's just that dark. I don't remember Insidious being that dark. It looks like my TV is off. There it is. This plot takes place 9 years after the events of the previous movie. And it's the son, and it's Dalton and the dad getting their memories wiped, right? I don't care if you don't remember it. It really doesn't matter. It's still a mid-movie. Like, a lot of people will say, oh, this movie is okay because it pertains to the story this way. This movie doesn't. It stretches out the characters that already exist to the point to where they snap like a rubber band. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, Dalton has become this emo kid that doesn't even like his dad. And the moments with Dalton being emo to his dad are just comical. Like, they come off as, like, him being dark. I think they were trying to make it come off as he's dark and comedic, but really he just came off as a fucking goober. There's this one instance, well, it's not the one instance, it's the first instance that you get of Dalton. Dalton is reading the eulogy at his grandmother's funeral as she's being lowered into the hole in the ground. They show, like, the family at the funeral, and he says the eulogy, and they're walking away, and this is just to illustrate how emo Dalton is now. The youngest brother, I can't remember his name, but he's asking Mom, like, do you think that Granny will miss us in heaven? Do you think that she's gonna miss us? And Dalton just go, dead people don't miss shit. He says that baller line, and then he gets back in the car, and he starts drawing, because he's emo, and all he does is draw dead people. And he literally starts drawing a portrait of his dead grandmother that they just buried. Man's in the thick of it. He's so emo. Like, it comes off as comical, because it's like, okay. The dad's like, let me drive him to college, because that's a big plot point in this one. They go to college. You know, what else are you going to do with your characters other than make them go to school? Nothing in it was scary. Not a single thing was actually scary. The theater that I watched this Insidious movie in was actually laughing. There's a scene in the trailer, if you have watched it, where he is in the middle of a CAT scan. He's in, like, one of those big magnetic tubes getting a CAT scan, right? And then the perspective switch, and he's looking down at his feet, and you can see, like, women crawling up But like the way they did it is they show the perspective of him looking down at his feet like 3 times before the jump scare happens, and like it's short, and like you can see his legs hanging out of the tube because he's not getting a full body CAT scan. It's just his upper body, and you can see the room that he is in. And when they cut back down for the jump scare, the tube is suddenly like super long, like you cannot see the end of the tube. And it's like he suddenly has a flashlight that's set to strobe, and he's shining it down the tube, and this creepy little woman is crawling up his legs, but they hold on it for too long. And this is the same with every jump scare that they do. I'm just using this one as an example. They hold on it for way too long because you can see the woman in full makeup look up at the camera, and she's smiling. So they're driving, and Dad's eating the fucking Slim Jim, and Dalton's drawing because he's Dalton, and Dad's like, "You want a Slim Jim?" And Dalton's like, "No, I don't want a fucking Slim Jim." And the dad is so distraught by Dalton not accepting the Slim Jim that he's like, "You need to get out of this funk, or else this is gonna be a long couple of days." They end up moving in, and he's helping them move in, and they get into another argument, and Dalton drops the nuclear bomb, and he's like, "Don't let your father's mistakes define you." He's running out of the dormitory bawling. He is like crying his eyes out, and it's so funny. It's like a soap opera. He's like, he's trying to get to his car so that nobody sees him crying, and he's like digging in his pockets for his keys, and then he gets into the car and he drives away. He was just talking about how long this trip was going to be with his son, and then he fucking abandoned his son like right off the bat because he made him cry. But before he left, he gave his son a flyer to go to a frat party. And he was like, "You should go to a frat party, make your old man proud." And that's when the argument actually starts, because he's like, "You don't fucking know me, Dad. Why would I want to go to a frat party?" I'm just realizing how much of like a teen soap opera this movie is. The most recent voice that I heard say it was Papa Meat, my boy Meat Canyon. But there is an observation that is all the Insidious movies is scary violin music, ambiguous monster demon, and then a choking scene. So we get to the frat house, and like they're walking up, the violin music starts. Strike one. And then they get into the frat house, and there's this moment where they take a second to shoot at frats and fraternities and sororities, which I personally really appreciated. This dude like comes down the stairs, and he's like giving a speech before the party starts. "This party tonight is going to be an absolute rager. We're going to remind everybody that fraternities are where men can still be men." And meanwhile, he's in like a full baby costume. Like he's got a bib, a binky, a bonnet, and he's got his diaper on. And it's like, okay, you really had something to say there, James, didn't you? You really were like, "Oh, they're going to love this." And a disposable roommate character is like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go up to the rooms and snoop around in the fraternity brothers' rooms, because that's a great idea." So they get up there. At the end of that speech, Nick the Dick, the leader of the fraternity, I'm not making that up. His name is Nick the Dick. He goes, "Oh, and if anybody brings up the incident that happens last semester where the kid drank himself to death, you're getting kicked out of the party." Anyway, moving on. So they go upstairs, and of course, this is where you see the next ambiguous demon. So, strike two. And of course, the guy that drank himself to death is in Nick the Dick's bathroom. And so, the next scene unfolds of scary shit. Of typical scary shit. And this was actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie. He walks in on the ghost, like, rolled over the toilet, like, throwing up into the toilet. He's like, "Hey, man, you need some water or something?" And he turns around and he's like, "Make it stop!" And his, like, face is, like, bubbled up from vomit. And he's got vomit all over his, like, fraternity sweater. It kind of looked like, it gave Pledge vibes. It gave Pledge, you know. Evolves. I won't spoil too much for it. But then you have this moment where he sticks his head out from under the bed. Our main character, Dalton does. Dalton is like, he's hiding under the bed, and he sticks his head out and looks up, and the monster is on top of the bed, and he just starts vomiting, like violently vomiting like a water hose. It gave Evil Dead vibes. It was like, bleh. Like, I'm rating it a 1 out of 5. I have no desire to watch this movie again. And honestly, I feel like it kind of ruined the Insidious series for me. Because it's not good. And if you want to debate me about, like, of course it's not going to be good, it's a cash grab, wrong. So, Evil Dead, a better series, just came out with Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise was fucking awesome. Evil Dead Rise hit all of the same notes as the previous ones, even in the comedy aspects. And they did this with completely new characters, instead of stretching out ones that didn't have any character development left. And what you ended up with was a fresh product, but that was also reminiscent of the previous product. And it felt like a part of the series that was completely original. And that's really what your 5th or 6th movie in the series should be. It shouldn't be a rehash of the first 2 movies, because that's what people liked. But, like, I understand I can't be asking too much of a series that is based off of jump scares. I understand that. But that's my review. 1 out of 5. Super meh. Hey guys, this is Joey from Some Like It calling you on the Transformers box set for the outro of the video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Subscribe to Some Like It on Instagram, on YouTube, and on TikTok. Please, we put out great stuff. If you want more of this, just let me know.